This is the top 10 spinning reels under $100. As always, if you guys disagree with the pick or you think there's a certain reel that I didn't include that should be in here, leave a comment down below. That's how a lot of these picks end up getting entered in the next video. For number 10 on this list, this is an absolute classic. This company has been making fishing reels since 1954. In 1954, I got on here, right? This is one of the most well-known reels of all time, and that is the Pflueger President. Coming in at $69.99, I think this is a great buy for the money. This is hands down one of the best-selling reels at the tackle shop that I work at. Lots of people swear by this reel. I've used them in the past. I personally like the feel of a Shimano and Daiwa a little bit more than the Pflueger, but I can understand why some really like this reel. In all fairness, it is bomb-proof. I mean, these things feel extremely durable, and I think for 70 bucks, I think it's a pretty dang good buy. Reel number 9 on this list is going to be a little biased because I do work with the company. I'm very close with the company, but the reason why I work with the company is because I believe in their stuff, and I have for a long time, and that is the Frostbite Diesel. This is coming in at $39.99. This is the 1000. The big bore, I believe, is like 10 or 20 bucks more. That's the 2000 size. It's the same version of this, just a little bigger. Now, Frostbite is an ice fishing company, so this reel is more geared towards ice fishermen, but I have used this in a ton of open water scenarios as well, and it's done absolutely great. I have a full breakdown of this reel in another video if you guys are interested in that. What I like about this is it's got a bunch of features that for $40 is crazy to me. It's got a lubrication in here that does better at low temperatures, which is why for ice fishing, it's an awesome feature to have. I love the handle. The handle is that super thin, almost kind of Daiwa-esque type handle. It's got a good drag on here, and overall, it's a great little size. I love this 1000 size for like your all-around trout and panfish applications, and the spool holds a really good amount of line too, which I like on some of my 1000 size reels. In case I were to hook something really big, it's nice to have just a little bit bigger spool for that. If you guys are truly on a budget and you're needing like just an incredible bang for your buck reel, I think for $39.99, this is a phenomenal option. I have, I think, like 5 of these that I use for all of my ice fishing setups, because here in the state of Idaho, we can have 5 rods per person on the ice. So I like to buy these because they're inexpensive. I can load up on a ton of them and get as many rods, fishing as possible without having them be really crappy setups, which is why I like this guy right here. Now, for number 8 on this list, this is one that was on my last list that I made about a year ago as well. They have gone a little more expensive through the years, but I still think they are totally worth the money. The new ones have a huge upgrade compared to the old ones as well. This is the Akuma Kamar right here. The Akuma Kamar, this is the older model that I have in my hand. The newer model is way better. I mean, I love this model. I have like 2 or 3 of these guys. The new one is way better, coming in at $89.99. It's still under that $100 price point. I love the colorway on this. They've got a bunch of different sizes. There's an HD and an A. I prefer the Kamar HD, but they also have a bait runner version for those of you that want a bite and run feature on there. That one's pretty sweet as well. Overall, this is a phenomenal choice for under $100. Akuma just smacks it. I mean, they make some really great products. I have had a couple people ask me about the Akuma Avenger as well. I do have 2 or 3 of those reels, and I have the bait runner ones. I do like them. I think they're great reels, but they're not as durable as the Kamar, which is why if you're wanting a nicer setup, kind of like a rough and tough, durable reel, I would go with the Kamar over the Avenger, just my personal opinion. The last couple years I had Avenger, I've had both of my reel handles. They're a very cheap plastic. They kind of bent out on me. Now, that was the old Avenger. I'm thinking the new Avenger is going to have some upgrades, but either way, I like the Kamar much better. Now, for number 7 on this list, coming in at $69.99, this is Daiwa's first entry on this list, and this is going to be the Regal LT. Now, the LT lineup on Daiwa's stuff stands for light and tough, and I personally am a huge fan of all of the LTs. They've got the Regal, they've got the Acceler, then you get like your Tatula, you got kind of go up in the price range. They've got a ton of different models, but all of the LT reels I'm a huge fan of. This one right here is going to be like one of Daiwa's lower budget LT reels. I love this reel. I think for the price, if you're wanting a super ultra light setup, under, you know, that 70 bucks, right? For trout, panfish, all that type of stuff, I think this would be a great option. If you're wanting something a little bit nicer and you're willing to pay a little more, I do have another one in this video that we'll get into here in a little bit. Now, number 6 is another classic that's been around for a long time. They've had a lot of upgrades to this reel, especially in the last model. I think the old model, this guy right here, was still great, but I think the new one is even that much better, and this is the Shimano Sedona. Now, coming in at around $79.99, I sell a ton of these at the shop. Everybody that has them absolutely loves them. I've got multiple Sedonas in different sizes. The old ones had, a couple of the models had a really low drag, as well as I wasn't a huge fan of the handle. The new ones are a huge upgrade in my opinion. I like the colorways on the new ones. Everything feels nicer on the new Sedona. So 100%, if you guys are a big Shimano fan like I am, and you're wanting to stay as low entry point as possible while still getting a good value reel, I think the Sedona is going to be it. All right, number 5 for this list, coming in at $79.99, is another Daiwa LT series. This is the Daa Legalis LT. Now, this is one that I personally haven't fished, but I have had way too many people comment about this reel and way too many customers ask about it in the shop for it to not be included on this list, because you guys love this reel, and I can see why. It is extremely light. It definitely feels nicer than the Regal, and it has all the Daiwa LTs have that air drive in there. It's basically when you reel, there's little air pockets in the reel that it keeps everything a little extra stability as you reel, which I love a lot. So I had to add the Legalis in here because so many of you have asked me to include it. So I'm listening, folks. I'm listening to you. The number 4 in here, I had to add a saltwater specific reel. I've used a couple of these other reels in here for saltwater, but this one is meant specifically for salt. Coming in at $89.99, we have the Pen Fierce. Now, there's been a lot of upgrades in the past on this pen. I believe they're on like the Fierce 4 now. I mean, heck, I remember working at Bass Pro selling, I think it was the Fierce 2. I mean, there's been so many models of this. They're very heavy. I will say they're a very heavy reel. It's not fun to be holding and fishing this thing all day long in your hands. However, they are tanks. If you're needing a tank reel to just put up with everything, all the elements, everything in the saltwater that you could imagine, this reel is going to do it, and for a great price. I've used the Pen Fierces in the past for crabbing down there on the Pacific coast. I've used them for big sharks and rays right off the beach. My best friend has a smaller one that we use on the jetties for rockfish and lingcod. That way, if he were to drop the setup, on the rocks or whatever, right, he doesn't have to worry about it breaking or, it being sensitive to all that. It is definitely a beat-up workhorse reel that's going to get you through a lot. So, like I said, it's a little bit heavy, but if you're okay with that, if you want durability over sensitivity or weight, right, this is the way to go. If any of you are wanting to go for big game fish, this is pretty much, I guess depends on what you count as big game, but this is going to be the reel of all the reels in this line that are going to be able to take the largest fish. I believe they make an 8 or 10,000 of this reel. None of these other reels on this list, I don't think so. I don't think any of these other reels on this list have an 8,000. So if you guys are wanting to target giant fish, no matter where you are, this is going to be the best option on this list, hands down, freshwater or saltwater. Now, a little bit of an upgrade from the Shimano Sedona here. In the number 3 spot for $89.99, we have the Shimano Sahara. Just like the Sedona, the new model, I think has a better colorway. It's a little bit lighter. It's got some extra upgrades in there that I really like compared to the old Sahara, which is this guy right here. Not bashing on the old one. I love this reel as well, but the new one is awesome. If you're looking for a little bit nicer of a reel, it's definitely a good upgrade from the Sedona. There is one more Shimano reel on this list that I think fishes much better than this, but I think for that $89.99 price, I think this is still a good buy, and I wanted to include this in the list. Whether you want to spend the extra money and get this versus the Sedona is kind of up to you. I think the big difference, in my opinion, between the two is weight. The Sahara is a little bit lighter than the Sedona. I don't think there's any upgraded bearings. There may be a little bit. I did a video bit on this in the past, and I forget what I said on that. But I think for the price difference, if you really are like stuck on that budget and you don't want to go up anymore, I think the Sedona would be just fine for you. But if you're okay spending a little more money, you want something just a little bit nicer, then the Sahara may be the choice to consider. Now, the number 2 on this list is the upgrade from the Sahara, and that's the Shimano NSI. So many of you guys know I am such a huge fan of these reels. This is the older model NSI right here. I've put some upgrades on this with a little custom knob here. I have caught so many giant fish on this reel. I just freaking love it. The new model is even better. It is lighter. It has a better drag. Everything about the new model is even better than the old one, and they kept it at the same price of $100. Some of the larger models may be like 110, and it may be, the price may fluctuate by the time you watch this video, but man, for $100, if you're wanting a workhorse all-around reel for inshore saltwater, bass fishing, a little bit of everything, this is a phenomenal choice. I have the 4000 right here, and I also have the 1000 that I use for ice fishing, just because my ice gear, I need it to be pretty durable because, you know, it's getting thrashed around on the ice all day, and these are very durable. When you pick up the new model NSI and you just give it like just a nice little reel, it feels $50 to $100 more expensive than what it's actually priced at. I mean, I'm being honest, the new NSI, they could list that reel for $150, and I would still think it is a just exceptional reel. I am that much of a fan of the NSI. I love it so much. Another reel that I think is way above its price class in terms of overall functionality is this guy right here. This is the Daa Excel LT. This is the top of the line, in my opinion, for sub $100 reels for that Daa LT line. This is the old Acceler. The new Acceler is just as good. There's just upgraded features in it, so it's even better than this guy. In terms of the overall weight of this reel, this has got to be one of the lightest, easiest to hold reels to fish with all day. I mean, it is so incredibly light in your hands. You can tell they tried to cut weight in any spot that they could on this without giving up that durability and sensitivity. This is on my ice fishing setup. This is a Frostbite dipstick Vanta Black, so it's a 39 light. With this guy right here, this is my ultimate like overall sensitive, like kind of run and gun trout rod. When I need a super light setup to feel bites through the ice, especially on picky fish, this is my go-to setup, and that's why I put this reel on here, is because I love how light and sensitive this reel is. You can hold it all day, never have to worry, never fatigued. I mean, this thing is truly a game-changing reel. I'm so happy with Daa on this reel. They smacked it. Both the Acceler and the NSI I've had for about 3 to 4 years. The NSI has seen a ton of saltwater use, and so far there's no erosion, you know, there's no corroded parts or anything like that in the reel. This guy I haven't taken out to saltwater yet, but this is kind of my go-to panfish and trout reel, other than the Stradic CI4, which I'm still a massive fan of. Those two are kind of my go-tos back and forth just because of how light both of those reels are. The difference is, this right here is like $150 cheaper than the Stradic / Vanford. This is way cheaper, and I think it fishes very similar to that reel. So 100%, the NSI and the Acceler are definitely the winners of this list. Whether you'd have those at the 1 or 2 spot, you know, I go back and forth on which one I think is first place and second place, but I don't think you can go wrong with buying either. I love them both. If you guys want to see a $100 rod that would match up very well with these reels, I will put that video right here. If you guys want to see another video that I think would be very helpful to you, I'll put that right here for you. Hopefully you guys got a kick out of today's video, and we'll see you guys next time.